My husband left our son with a broken leg alone, just for his ex-girlfriend. I walked in the door with a pharmacy bag and found my 11-year-old son sitting on the bathroom floor crying. His casted leg was propped up on the toilet, and he had his phone in both hands. We'd gotten home from the ER 2 hours before. Jake broke his fibula skateboarding that morning. The doctor said someone needed to watch him the first day because of the pain meds. Where's Dad? Jake wiped his eyes fast. Stephanie called and said she needed help. Dad said he'd be back in 20 minutes. That was over an hour ago. Stephanie, Brian's ex from college. She lives in Ohio and they've stayed friendly, which never bothered me because she's basically a voice on the phone twice a year. I called Brian 3 times, straight to voicemail. I texted, Jake is alone and scared, where are you? And got nothing. I got Jake settled on the couch with his meds and pulled up Find My on my iPhone. We've shared locations for 6 years. His timeline showed he wasn't on any highway. He was at some address on Maple Street for 2 hours. I clicked it. Real estate office. That's when it clicked. Something was wrong. Brian walked in 20 minutes later looking rushed. Hey buddy, how's the leg? He said to Jake, barely glancing at me. I grabbed his arm and pulled him into the kitchen, shoved my phone in his face. You were at a real estate office. His face went blank for a second. Steph's moving here for work. She wanted my opinion on neighborhoods. Your ex is moving to our city and you didn't tell me? I didn't want to make it a thing. I pulled up our phone bill right there. Stephanie's number showed up 73 times in 2 months. Calls at 11 p.m., 6 a.m. during lunch. You've been talking to her constantly. She needed support, she's my friend. Then show me your phone. He held it against his chest. You need to trust me. His phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and his whole face changed. I have to go. My stomach dropped. Are you serious right now? Steph needs a ride to the airport. Her rental car place is closed and her flight leaves in 2 hours. Call her an Uber. She doesn't feel safe riding with strangers. He was already grabbing his keys. I'll be back soon. He actually left again. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds. Then I grabbed my keys and Jake's jacket. Come on, bring your crutches. Mom, my leg. Now. I followed Brian's location dot. He wasn't heading to the airport. He was going to the Riverside Inn off exit 12. I pulled into the parking lot 10 minutes after him. His Toyota was parked right in front of room 116. Through the window, I could see him sitting on the bed next to a woman with dark hair. They were sitting close, talking. I knocked hard. Brian opened the door and went, white. Jake's in the car watching you lie. The woman stood up fast. I'm Stephanie. This isn't what it. Flight leaves in 2 hours, but you got a hotel room? I looked at Brian. I found the furniture store receipt from last month. You were shopping for kitchen tables with her on a Saturday. You said you had work training. Stephanie grabbed her bag and basically ran to her car. Brian followed me outside. Please, let me explain. You left Jake twice today. For her. I got in my car and texted Brian's brother while I drove. Told him to come get Brian's stuff from the house. When we got home, his brother was already there waiting. Brian showed up an hour later, but his brother wouldn't let him in. They had this whole argument on the front lawn. You left your kid alone twice, man, his brother said. What's wrong with you? Brian kept saying I was overreacting, that nothing even happened. The next morning, I called a divorce lawyer. Brian's been blowing up my phone saying Stephanie moved back to Ohio anyway, so it doesn't matter. But 3 days ago, Jake asked me why Dad doesn't come around anymore. I couldn't even get the words out. Last night, Brian's brother called. Said Brian's been a mess, barely eating, asking how to fix this. I told him there's nothing to fix. Brian made his choice when Jake was sitting on that bathroom floor crying and scared. He made it again at that hotel. Those weren't mistakes. That was him showing me exactly who mattered. The divorce papers are getting filed next week. Brian can see Jake on weekends once we sort custody.